Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new Doctor Who video. It's definitely not a video that I thought I'd be making when I woke up this morning, but unexpectedly the 14th Doctor has been announced. It is NCUTI GATWA. So yes, after several months of waiting, obviously it was, June, July last year that Jodie was announced as leaving, so we've been waiting for this, debating this, discussing this for quite a long time. In the last month or so, it got to the point for me where I just didn't care, but like I couldn't be bothered with all the speculation, all the, oh, could it be announced on this day? Oh, could it be this person? Could it be that person? It just was getting a bit tiring. So in many ways, I'm just very happy that they've actually announced it, albeit in a slightly unexpected way, given, what we've seen previously for Doctor Reveals, whether it's a live show, a specially recorded clip, or a Doctor Confidential special, or whatever. There's usually been something pretty big to announce a new Doctor. So it's interesting and intriguing that on this occasion it was simply a Twitter/Instagram post announcing that he is the new Doctor, and that's it. Like, that's all we've got, and a couple of quotes. And I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like the shock factor was pretty cool because they didn't do an announcement of an announcement and give us 2 days to get hyped about who it's going to be and all of that. They were just like, here you go, here's the news. And I don't know, maybe that's just a sign of kind of focusing on the kind of capturing the audience they want to capture again for Doctor Who, and the idea that actually people just kind of want to know the news, and the news will get shared no matter whether there's a real video or whether they just announce it. It's going to get around because it's the new Doctor. It's a big deal. This is only the 14th Doctor in 60 years. It's well, okay, let's not even get into that. But it's the 14th Doctor. Here's the 14th Doctor. We're going with that. So it's a pretty big deal. And so I can kind of understand why they decided to just go down this route. We saw exactly the same thing with the announcement of Russell T Davies as well. Russell T Davies, sorry, in September last year when they just announced it. Again, it was just announced. There wasn't any big hype for it. That just happened. And so I can kind of see that it's just the right way to kind of catch people off guard, really, and just create that excitement that way rather than through build up to a big video or show or whatever. So yes, NCUTI GATWA. What do we actually know about him? Who is he? I've seen a lot of people going, it's cool, but I don't really know who that is. Essentially, he's a pretty young actor, Scottish actor, 29. He is obviously most famous for being in Sex Education. It's kind of like if you've seen that, you know who he is. If you haven't seen that, you probably don't know who he is, because he hasn't really done a lot else in terms of TV and film. I think he's been in a couple of, like a Horrible Histories film or something. He was also recently a part of the Grid Rivals video game as well, in a sort of story mode of a racing simulation game. But apart from that, he hasn't really done very much. It's kind of like Sex Education is the thing that he is known for. And I personally have seen that, and I think he's absolutely brilliant as a character in that show. And, when I saw it announced and it came up, my first thought was just, yes, that fits. That he's the right sort of eccentric character to really fit the persona of the Doctor. I think that really immediately just fits into it. I can't say I've thought about him being the Doctor before, I don't think. I feel like, we've had the long list of Lydia West and people like that Russell has worked with in the past, that everybody was like, oh, well, will it be them that's the new Doctor and whatever. And I don't think that NCUTI's really been a part of that discussion. In the most part, maybe it's just because he's never worked with Russell before, so it seemed like a less obvious choice. But it just fits. I can see the way, the eccentric style to the character that he plays in Sex Education, but also I think just the man himself, seeing in interviews and stuff, he's just in a really positive way. He's just a bit, of an eccentric character, and I think that will just really, really fit the role of the Doctor. I just really could see it as soon as it was announced. I was like, yeah, actually, that makes so much sense. That seems like such a great idea. Obviously, Russell casting it, it's, he's not going to do a bad job of casting the new Doctor. That's just not going to happen. But I think he really has struck on a brilliant actor here who's really going to, really grab the role and just bring such great qualities to this incarnation of the Doctor. Yes, there is a point to be made by the fact that the new Doctor is not a woman, that we have gone back to a man, whatever that means, for the 14th Doctor. And yes, I'm sure there will be the Not My Doctor crew who come out saying, well, it's an example of the fact that Jodie Whittaker was a mistake as a female Doctor because the Doctor can't be a woman, blah, blah, blah. Don't even care. Don't even give it the time of day to listen to it, to wear it, whatever. Couldn't care less. Russell has clearly just gone for the right person for the job. It's not about whether a man or a woman or whatever. He is the right man for the job. clearly Russell has seen that in auditions. I mean, I'm sure over the course of time we'll find out a lot more about the process of how he became the Doctor, whether it was Russell wanted him specifically, whether it was big auditions or whatever. I'm sure that we will, get all that information in due course. But fundamentally, I think Russell just picked the perfect person for the job, for the role, and I just think he really is going to be so great. Now, obviously, it's basically pointless to try and speculate on his character, and, sure, apart from the fact he's an eccentric person, I think he's going to bring that sort of eccentric Doctor-like quality to the role. Outside of that, who knows what he's going to be like as a Doctor? I'm not going to stand here and try and predict it, because we have no clue. There's no concept. We've got no feel for what this era of Doctor Who is going to be like. I guess the new Doctor kind of sets that stall out a little bit. But, we know nothing about RTD2, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But it means that there's no real point in speculating about his specific character, apart from the fact that I just think he's really got the right personality, the right quality as an actor to really thrive in the role more than anything else. It seems like he's going to appear at the BAFTAs tonight as Ncuti, and so I don't know whether we might get a little bit more information about that, about his role, or just something from him to say about it when we see that tonight. I don't think there's going to be anything, groundbreaking and new. This is the groundbreaking news of the day. But, we might just get a couple of interviews with him talking about taking on the role, because obviously we've got this press release, but we haven't actually seen a sort of in-vision interview of him talking about being the Doctor yet, which will be the next exciting thing to look forward to, and many more things to come. And I thought, just pricking up on the press release that was posted with it, Russell's comment about Ncuti coming onto the role, obviously very excited to have him in there, but also talking about how he doesn't really want to step on the toes of Jodie and Chris Chibnall before the centenary special. Just talking about, we don't want to kind of start revealing everything and taking the limelight away from the end of this era. Obviously, this announcement kind of had to happen because it seems pretty likely that filming for RTD2 is starting in the next few weeks. So I think that it was probably a necessity to announce it around this time, simply because he's going to be seen on set and then it's going to leak and all that issue you've got there. So I can kind of understand why they've announced it at this time, but I don't really think we're going to get much more in the way of announcements about RTD2 until after the centenary special in October. I sort of feel like they're going to spend the next, 5-6 months, whatever, kind of quietly filming the show. Yeah, sure, there'll be the people getting set photos and whatever, but I feel like they're just going to kind of get on with the job, quietly getting RTD2, the new era together, start to film some episodes, whether it's anniversary specials or whatever it may be. And then kind of after October, maybe into the very beginning of 2023, we'll start to get much more of a flow of announcements about things that are happening with the RTD2 era, new characters for the show, any returning characters, what's happening around the 60th, all of that stuff I think will start getting announced around that point. So sort of it's exciting, but we might have a quiet spell to come. But RTD did say in his in the press release that 2023 is going to be a very big, exciting year for Doctor Who. And just the way that press release is worded does not sound to me like we're going to get a singular episode as a 60th anniversary, and that's going to be the only Doctor Who thing for the year. I think we're going to get something more than that, even if it's just maybe 2 or 3 specials rather than a singular one. But ultimately, the big announcement of the day is, of course, Ncuti Gatwa becoming the 14th Doctor. We're going to see him first. Well, we don't know for sure whether we're going to see him on screen at the end of the centenary special, but certainly we'll see him next year, of course, as part of the 60th anniversary celebrations, presumably. But yeah, I'm very excited to see him on screen whether it comes round to it. And so I also thought, as he's been announced, I'd get your thoughts, your tweets and your thoughts and comments on the new Doctor announcement. So go follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, at EMS_Productions, where you can, get involved on things like this. So I just wanted to read out a few of your tweets about your thoughts on Ncuti becoming the new Doctor. So a few different tweets, and we've got here, we've got one from Bad Wolf Archives, who says, very pleased, his emotional range is wonderful and his comic timing is impeccable. I think his era will be sensational. So a very, I think in general there's lots of very positive and excited comments. It's great to hear one like that. A comment from James here, who says, I think he's a brilliant choice. It's worth noting that he's not just some random British actor. He's a rising star from an internationally loved Netflix show. RTD is clearly already steering Doctor Who back into the mainstream, and I can't wait to see what the two do together. Now, that's a very interesting point as well, which I had thought about and considered, is the fact that, sure, he hasn't done loads of stuff, but his character in Sex Education is very famous, playing Eric in Sex Education. Like, people know about that. That's a big thing. And I feel like the audience crossover between Doctor Who and Sex Education isn't necessarily massive, especially when, just looking at some of the comments I've seen there's a lot of people who've gone that haven't really seen him in anything before. And so I feel like it's a great opportunity to kind of bring in a new audience almost for Doctor Who to an extent. That sort of 16 to 34 audience, and the mainstream audience, I guess, who watch a show like Sex Education, who might, want to see what his take on the role is in Doctor Who, and so might come over and watch the show. I think that's a very real possibility. And so, yeah, maybe it is a case of Russell bringing the show back into the mainstream, whatever that quite means. I think it's inevitable there's going to be a big bump on the viewing figures, on the general hype for the show once we get Russell's first written episode. But I do think that the casting choice also helps and supports that as well. A comment here from Nasir, who says, it was such an unexpected but explosive reveal. Whovians had never heard of Matt Smith, and he became one of the most beloved incarnations ever. I believe this is such a bold but clever move by RTD, and I can't wait to see what direction he takes this in. Welcome, NCUTI GATWA. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good point, because as I say, a lot of people are, saying, I haven't seen him in anything, I don't really know much about him, but generally excited. No, but I haven't really seen much negativity about this. But it's worth noting, Matt Smith hadn't really done anything big. A lot of people didn't know about him before he came onto the role, and has become one of the most famous, well-known, beloved doctors of all time, really, I think it's fair to say. So I don't think we should really necessarily judge an actor taking the Doctor by how well-known they are or how much stuff they've done in the past. Because, if the actor's right and fits the right role, which I'm sure Russell would, just nail, then I think it's going to be so great and so successful. James on Twitter says, sadly, I'm not too familiar with him or his work, but I plan to rectify that by watching Sex Education ASAP, which I hear he's very good in. Despite that, really looking forward to what he brings to the role. So I feel like this is what a lot of people are in. A lot of people are going to go and watch Sex Education now. I would recommend, if you're, old enough, I guess, it's worth watching. It's a very, very good show, and it's certainly, you can really see he's a big part of the show throughout all of the series of it. So it's great to really get a good feel for him as an actor, and maybe start picturing what he might bring to the role of the Doctor. Got a few other people here. Whovians Unite say, I'm so delighted, what a brilliant choice. The Vacuum of Comments says, really looking forward to this, very pleased. Filthy says, happy, no idea who he is, don't have Netflix, but he seems right. Grant says, very excited. With RTD back 2, could be one for the younger audiences with his performance in Sex Head. I think he was amazing and exceptional in that too. Really looking forward to him being the Doctor. Tam says he's got such perfect energy to play the Doctor, and I'm so excited. Absolutely brilliant. I definitely think he's got the right, just fun, excitable, eccentric, energetic energy, if that's the terrible phrase. But I think he's just got all of that in him as a person, which I think he's going to really, really bring to the role and will be really, really exciting. CJ Taylor says he seems a proper good choice for me, and I think he'll be able to bring such a unique flair to the role with such excellent comedic timing and a wonderful range of acting abilities. My only ask for his Doctor is some fancy clothing, like a bomb's gone off at a paint factory. Yeah, obviously that's one of the next exciting things to see, is what his costume is going to be like. I guess based on his character in Sex Education, you just imagine, you picture a bright and colourful outfit, almost Colin Baker-like, I guess, to an extent. Yeah, I'll be really, really interested to see what route they go down on that, but I guess we might have to wait a little bit of a while to find out about that. So yes, that's just a few different tweets and comments there. You can check out more of them over on my Twitter at EMS_Productions. And just a lot of general excitement is what I'm seeing, really. I think, it just feels like a really positive moment for Doctor Who fans after the swathe of negativity, Legend of the Sea Devils, and just recent Chris Chibnall era, it feels like. It's just exciting to talk about something that people are actually happy about when it comes to Doctor Who, because that seems to be a little bit of a stretch at the moment. But yes, guys, let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on NCUTI GATWA being the Doctor. Are you excited about it? Have you seen him in Sex Education? Just what do you think he's going to bring to the role? What do you think his take on it is going to be? Just general comments and thoughts on it. I would love to hear all of them that you have to say. But that is just about it from this video, guys. Please hit that like button, that subscribe button if you're new here, and I'll see you again very soon for a brand new video. But until then, it's goodbye.